This is the geometry word problem video solution for the odds. Let's lower some gain here. This geometry word problem section, let's recall that we have the statement that two angles are complementary. So we're saying two angles here are complementary, and which is why we have the complementary angle geometric model here. Now we don't know what those angles are, so we're going to call one of the angles x. We're going to call the other angle y. And so what we know, since they're complementary, we know here that the sum of the two angles should be 90 degrees. And that's what this means by two angles are complementary. So we have x plus y is 90. Now we're going to look at the next phrase. And in the next phrase, let me emphasize this. They're saying one angle. Now, I'm going to say here, one angle, let's call that or put that in blue. And one angle, we don't know what that angle is, but I call this first angle x, so we're going to name this x as well. And the phrase or the word here is short for is equal to. So I'm going to emphasize that in red. And then we have another phrase here. Let's kind of change colors, I guess. That 35 degrees more than the other angle. We don't know. We're calling the other angle y. We don't know what it is. We just called it y. So call that other angle y. And so you're going to have this phrase here in words that says x is 35 degrees more than y. And more than here, this phrase more than, means addition, if you recall from class. And what happens with 35 and the y is that they switch. So you end up with an equation that is x is y plus 35. So we talked about this in class, about why it switches. And these are my two equations and my two unknowns. Now you would use a method of solution. I would say probably use what's called the substitution method, because for the second equation we already have x equals. So I'm going to substitute x, which equals 35, hold on, into the first equation. So I'm going to let my x here be y plus 35 in that first equation. And now I end up with y plus 35 plus another y is 90. Let's do some algebra. 2y plus 35 is 90. Two y looks like to be 55. Divide both sides by 2. Y is 55 divided by 2, which looks like it's going to be 27.5. Okay, so y is 27.5. That's the first angle. That goes right here. 27.5. Now to find the next value, or this, this y value here, we know is 27.5. We plug it back into the second equation. We now get the x value very simply by adding it to 35. So we take our 35, we add it with the 27.5. So we get 12, 3, 4, 5, 62.5. This is my value of x. So x here will be 62.5. Now if we add those two together, we do get 90. So this is how we solve these geometry word problems. This next question here is saying that the two angles again, we don't know what they are. We're going to call them x and y. The two angles are supplementary. Now that makes sense because they have this supplementary angle situation. So we're going to call the first angle x again. So I have my two angles are supplementary. That means x plus y is 180 degrees. Now let's look at the phrase here. One angle that we're going to call x. Okay. The word is we replace with our equal sign. Now we have 3 times the other angle. The other angle we called y, so this is going to be the other angle. We're going to call that one y. And we just have to know what this phrase of 3 times. 3 times. Now what that looks like is really 3 times the variable that we called y. So altogether, the second equation now is x equals 3 times y, or commonly known as simply 3y. 2 equations, 2 unknowns. We're going to substitute that second equation for x. We know that x is in blue here, so we're going to say, okay, this x is 3y. Plug this in here for the x using substitution. We get an equation that is 3y. Our 3's look pretty funny today. Let's put the algebra equation over here. We get 3y plus y is 180. That means 4y, even our 4's are bad, I think it's just 4y is 180. Divide both sides by 4. We get y equal to, we need to do some long division. 180 divided by 4, it looks like it's going to be 45. So y is 45 degrees here. 45 times 2 is 90. Yes, 90 times 2 is 180. So y here is 45 degrees. Okay. There we go. Now we're going to plug in this value. Y is in purple. So notice this. Go back here. This is 3y. Go back here. And my y value is purple. So here we go. We're going to substitute y being 35 into this x equals 3y equation. And then we get x being 3 times 45. So that's going to give me the other angle, I guess, or I should say the one that's called one angle. 3 times 45 is 9. 2 times 45 is 90, plus another 45 is 135. So my x will be 135 degrees. Let's see if this makes sense. Is 135 plus 45 180? And the answer is yes. So here's how we solve this geometry word problem. Number 5 again. We're in the situation where we focus on 2 angles are complementary. Sum is 90 degrees. Okay, I'm going to call this first angle x and the second y. So this equation is going to say that x plus y is 90 because the angles are complementary. Here's our first equation. Now, we're going to let one angle, call that the x. One angle that's equal 20 degrees, and then we have this phrase called less than. The other angle, we don't know what that angle is. We called it earlier y. So notice, the second equation here is the following. I get this x Let's put it over here. X is 20 degrees less than, the other is y. And let's write this down. Okay, x is 20 degrees less than y. Okay, let's remember what the phrase less than means. Less than is subtraction. We talked about this in class, and not only is it subtraction, what happens is the 20 and the y switch places. So I have two equations here and two unknowns. And we can solve this. Okay, now let's take a look. X is actually y minus 20, so wherever there's an x, I'm going to replace it with y minus 20 here. We're going to substitute. So I get this nice equation that y minus 20 plus another y appear to be 90. We're going to use some algebra. 2y minus 20 is 90. Add 20. And I get 2y is 110. Divide both sides by 2. Y will be 55 degrees, so y is 55. So if y is 55, that's in blue here. Let's put it here. Then 55 minus 20 is actually 35, so I get x being 35. So 35 plus 55 looks like it's 90. We look like we're good. Number 7. Two angles again. Oops. Two angles are supplementary. Two angles are supplementary. Again. Let's do this. It might be, here's my x. Here's my y. Okay. And so, since they're supplementary, x plus y needs to be 180. Okay. Again, we'll do this in colors that one angle is represented by the letter x. Is always the equal sign, and 45 degrees less than, so we have to color the less than, that's subtraction. The other angle we'll use being the y variable, which is in blue. So there we go. So let's put this together, and you know that x now will be 45 less than. Okay, we'll put this phrase for now again, but you know already less than is subtraction. X will be y minus 45. So that switches. We're going to substitute. Because we already have x equals y minus 45. Let's remember x is in purple. So, this is where my x is going to go into. Here's what we get. Y minus 45 plus y is 180. Let's do some algebra. 2y minus 45 is 180. We're going to add 45 to both sides. 2y is 225. Divide both sides by 2. And see what y is. It's a little noisy today with the trucks. I apologize, but that's the situation. Okay. It looks like it's going to be 112.5. Okay. If we double this, It's 224, 225. Yes, y is 112.5. So let's plug in 112.5 here, minus 45. Okay, so let's do some arithmetic. There's no shame in that. 0. This will be 7. 10 minus 4 is 6. 67.5. So 67.5 and 112.5. Let's make sure that the sum is 180. It looks like it's 70. Yes, it does. Okay. Once again, two angles are complementary. We have the complementary angle situation. So I'm not going to go through it in the same kind of color detail as I've been going through it, at least. Let's go straight to the fact that x plus y is 90. Okay? Where x angle, y angle. Now, one angle, they're saying here, one angle is 20 degrees more than twice the other angles. So this is a little bit more sophisticated. Let's bring out the blue. The other angle is blue. So far, I have x equals, and then I have 20 degrees. I have the phrase more than, so I know this is addition. Now I need to know what twice means, and if you guys remember, the phrase twice is really 2 times. So this is 2 times the other angle, this twice business. So let's write this down. We have x is 20 degrees more than twice the other angle. That's 2y. And this is addition. More than is addition. And as you guys recall, this addition switches. So we say x will be 2y plus my 20. Here's my second equation. Here's my first equation. We're going to use the substitution method, meaning x, which is in purple, we'll replace it into the first equation by 2y plus 20. We get an algebra equation that's 2y plus 20 plus y is 90. 3y plus 20 is 90. Subtract our 20. 3y is 70. Now we're going to have to divide both sides by 3 here to see what y becomes. 3, 70, 2 times 3 is 6. Subtract, I got 1. Bring down the 0. It's 3 and 9. 1. Bring down another 0. 3. In other words, x is about, I should say, sorry, y is about 23.3. So y will be 23.3 forever. Okay? Let's approximate this to the nearest whole number again, like in the last homework problem here. So y, well, let's go out to the nearest tenths. How about that? 23.3. That'll be even more accurate. Let's try this to the nearest tenths. 23.3. So that's my y value. I'm going to plug it back in here. This y is in blue. We plug it back in here for this y, 23.3. So now that means x will be 2 times 23.3 plus my 20. Go back. 2 times 23.3 is really 46.6 plus 20. And so my x is going to be 66.6. 66.6 degrees. And that looks like the sum will be close to 90, but because remember, we approximated here. So that's how we handle number 9. Number 11 is a 2 angles are supplementary again. So let's look at this. x and y, x plus y. Oops, let's put it up here. We have x plus y will be 180 because the angles are supplementary here. Supplementary angles, they form a straight angle here. One angle is 30 degrees more than, that's addition again. And you got your twice business. Twice is 2 times. 2 times the other angle, well, that's what we called y. So let's go back now and let's put everything in. Here's the x. It's called one angle. The other angle is in blue. Here's my y. Now we have equals 30 degrees more than, well, that's addition. And twice, that's 2 times. So let's put this together here. We have x is 30 degrees more than twice the other. Again, this switches. X will be 2y plus 30. First equation and your second equation. So we're going to plug this in. Going to use the substitution method here. Don't remember, x is 2y plus 30. It goes in here. Let's look at the equation we get. 2y plus 30 plus y is 180. We're going to do some algebra, and we get 3y plus 30 is 180. Subtract your 30 from both sides, and you're going to get 3y will be 150. Divide both sides by 3, and we get y being 50. So y is 50 degrees. This goes here, and goes here, so that means x is 2 times 50 plus 30, 100 plus 30, x has to be 130 degrees. And you're done. And that's 130 here. Perimeter of a rectangle is 120. Okay. Now we have a rectangle. They're saying perimeter. The perimeter is 120. As an equation, remember this is an equal. As an algebra equation, we say P here is simply 120 and 120 feet. Now, we have a rectangle, so they say the length is 10 feet more than the width. So here's what's going on with this. Let's use L for length, and we're going to use W for width. The longer side is the length, the shorter side is the width. And a couple of things are happening here. The length here, we say length in purple, that's equal. Let's remember that we're going to use L for length is the equal, and then we have this again 10 feet. We have again that phrase more than, which is addition, and it's more than the width, so that's represented by W. So let's actually plug this in. Remember from our lecture, the second equation is really saying the following. It's saying that L is 10 feet more than the width. Or really, L is W plus 10. And that's one equation. And believe it or not, the other equation comes from the fact that we already know that my perimeter is 120. Let's recall that we have a rectangle, and so the perimeter is actually 2L plus 2W. So if my perimeter is 20, I'll replace this P with 120, sorry, not 20. 120 gets substituted for P, L, we know in purple, is W plus 10. We know that because we just read it. L is W plus 10 here, and that's why we put in, this L being W plus 10. We get an algebra equation that says 120 equals 2W plus 10 plus 2W. So let's solve for W. 120, 2W plus 20 plus 2W. 120, 4W plus 20. Subtract 20. 100 is 4W. And if I divide both sides by 4, we'll get W being, looks like 25. So my width is 25 if I divide both sides here by 4. 25 for the width. Okay, that goes here. And if 25 is the width, I know if I simply add 10, I get the length. So my length is going to be 25 plus 10, or we say the length is actually 35. And these are in feet. So I got 35 feet for the length. Let's put it down here. And the width is actually 25 feet. So that kind of makes sense. That's number 13. '15 again. Notice perimeter is 200. So we can write it down. Perimeter is 200 feet. Now, if you remember from the past, we know that that perimeter is also going to be 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. That's our perimeter formula. And then really together, we can say 2L plus 2W is 200. So we're going to set the table, I guess, and find out, and we're going to use this. 2L plus 2W is 200. Now let's see what everything is. My width is W. Okay. My length is L. So again, we have width is we have this phrase called less than. Oh, that's subtraction, and it's going to be less than the width, or the length, sorry, and the length is L. So let's write down this, or let's write down what the variables are. W is 15 less than the what? Length L. W is L minus 15. Here's the second equation. We're going to substitute that second equation into the first. Since W is purple, that goes in here. Here's what we get. 2L plus 2 times L minus 15 equals 200. 2L plus 2L minus 30. 4L minus 30 is 200. Add your 30. For L is 230. We're going to have to divide here 230 by 4. Let's do this division. Our length is 57.5. Width is 42.5. There we go. Perimeter rectangle is 500, so perimeter rectangle is 500. Let's turn down the gain so we don't get all the traffic. P is 500. P is 2L plus 2W. Or we can say simply 2L plus 2W is 500. Length, width, length is more than twice, that's 2 times, and then W is blue. Oh, we made a mistake. Length is purple. Here we go. Let's fill everything in. $30 more than, so that's 2W plus 30. Remember, for more than you switch. Now we substitute. Al is in purple. It's 2W plus 30. We substitute right here. Let's get the new equation here. And we're going to have to divide by 6. See what W equals. Now, 440 divided by 6. Let's use some scratch paper. I have all the way up here. 440 divided by 6. Okay, we're going to use some scratch paper. $440 divided by 6. Alrighty. Um, 7, 42. 2, bring down the 0. 3, 18. 2, bring down the 0. 6, oh, it's going to be 3. 18, bring down the 0. So 73.3 forever. If we approximate to the nearest whole number, or I'm sorry, let's approximate to the nearest whole number this time. It's about 73 feet, I guess. Okay. Let's use 73. Don't forget, it's all the way down here. 440 divided by 6 is 73. There's our width. Width is 73, and it's in feet. So we're going to have to plug that width in. Width is in blue, so I want to point out to you. There we go. Double 73 and add 30. So double 73 looks like it's going to be 146 plus 30, 176. So my length is 176, and my width is 73. And we're done. Now we're getting pretty good at this. We're going to say the perimeter is 150. So let's be a little bit more efficient. 2L plus 2W is 150. Okay, let's label these things. Let's put it over here. W for width. And we have a typo in 19. So let's make a note to ourselves of this typo. This should be length. Okay. Length. A length down there. Okay. Width is W. Okay. Width is, oh, I got the less than language, and then I got twice the length. 2 times L. So let's actually write this down. Our width is 10 less than twice the length. Or we say the width is 2L minus 10 now. So we're being a little bit more efficient with this since we've gotten a lot of practice. And W again is purple, so let's plug this in. 2L minus 10 right in here where we have our W. Substitution method. 2L plus 2, 2L minus 10. And that better be 150. Use some algebra. 6L minus 20, so let's get this okay. 6L minus 20 is 150. And let's see what's happening here. 6L is 170. Divide both sides by 6, and L will be 170 over 6. Okay, let's see what we're doing. Divide both sides by 6. Six goes into 170. Let's see what happens here. Not 3, but 2. It's 12 and 5. Bring down the 0. 6 times 8 is 48. 8, subtract, got 2. Bring down the 0. And that's a 3. That's 18. Another 2. So again, it's 28.3. Let's approximate again to the nearest tenths. So my L is going to be 28.3. So I'll get rid of this scratch work, 28.3. It's hard to see anyway. Anyway, L is approximately 28.3 feet. So if my length is 28.3, let's find what the width is. Double 28.3 should be 56.6 minus 10 is 46.6. So we have 46.6 feet. Let's make sure. 28.3 times 2 is 56.6 minus 10 is 46.6. There's our length. This is number 21. Now we have the interior angles of a triangle. So we're going to have to look at this in detail. Interior angles here for this triangle. And let's say, for example, we have a first angle here. We'll do this, call this the first. And this will be known as the second. And then finally, maybe in brown here, we have the third angle. Okay, we're kind of going in a counterclockwise direction. Now what we know, since we're focusing on the interior angles, is that F plus T plus S is 180 degrees. First, well, let's go S and T, okay? Be consistent. First plus second plus third is 180. And we could just put 180. Okay. Now, let's read the rest of the paragraph. It says the first angle is twice the second. So if I color this, my first angle, this is F. Okay, now F, word is, and then that twice. The second angle we colored blue. So this is the second angle in blue. So if I really focus on this, we have F, oops, let's go back. We have F is twice, 2 times, now the second, S. So that's what they're saying, and this equation is F equals 2S. Now let's read again, and we have the third angle, and the third angle was colored in, I guess, I don't know what this is, brown. Third is 15 degrees. Now we have that more than, we know what that means. And the second angle we colored in blue. Second angle. All right, let's go back and see what we have. This looks like a T. Let's go back. Third angle. That looks like it's a T. And we need red. T is 15 degrees more than. We know what more than means. That's addition. And the second is in blue, so that's S. So we're going to get the equation now. It's going to say the third is 15 more than the second. That's S plus 15, because for more than we switch the words, 15 degrees and second. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to substitute, and notice what happens here. F is 2S, so I'm going to color that purple again. See, this F is 2S. I hate when I do that. F is 2S. This gets substituted up here. And then T is brown. So T is S plus 15. T goes in here. So notice what we get. We get an equation that says 2S. My S here, this blue S, just to kind of emphasize, that S just stays S. And the T, we already know, is S plus 15, and the total here should be 180. So let's do some algebra. Now let's be careful here that I know my 5s here. This is an S, it's not 25. This is an S, and this is an S. And over here we have the constant 15. So looks like we get 4S plus my 15 is 180. Let's subtract that 15, and we end up with 4S being 165. Okay. Now divide both sides here by 4, and we end up getting S being 165 divided by 4. Okay. So what you can do is, do the arithmetic, do the long division. Something that looks like this, if you like. 4 goes into 165. It goes in 4 times. That's a 16. Got a 5. 0, bring down the 5. Goes in once. Subtract, you got 1. Bring down my 0. 2. 8. Bring down another 0. 5. And there's 20. Go through your division algorithm. 41.25. And that's my second angle. So long division there, I'm going to get rid of it. Okay. My long division, 41.25. Okay. My second angle here now is 41.25. Okay. Now we're going to have to find out what my first angle is. Go back. S is blue. Okay. So here I plug in 41.25. So for my first angle, it's 2 times 41.25. My first angle will be double that. It looks like it's going to be 82.5 for the first angle. And again, S is in blue. Plug in my S here for the third angle. And so my third angle will be simply 41.25, and we add it with 15. My third angle becomes 56.25. Double check. Okay, 56.25. Let me write that a little nicer. There we go. These are my angles. Number 23. It's the same format. Your interior angles of a triangle. Now, again, we can say we have a first angle, a second angle. Be nice to know how to spell second. A second angle, and then we have a third angle. And algebraically, since we have interior angles of a triangle, that's first plus second plus third is 180. Let's read the language. Okay. First, okay, is 15 degrees. We have the more than phrase. That's addition, and it's going to switch. More than the second. And the second was in blue. So if we write it down, okay, let's be careful. First is 15 degrees more than, remember, more than is addition, and more than the second, that's S. Let's read the next phrase. The third angle. Okay, third angle is 40 degrees now less than the second angle, and that's in blue. So we got third. Third is 40 degrees less than is subtraction, and it switches. The second is S. We got that there. Okay. Let's write down our equations here now. So my first is F is 15 more than the second, S plus 15. Okay. My next phrase is my third angle is 40 degrees less than the second, so that's S minus 40. Let's plug these values in. Let's substitute. That means, again in purple here, my first is right here, and brown, third is here. And I leave this original here, this S alone. I'm going to leave that alone. And here's what I get. I get S plus 15 plus another S plus S minus 40 is 180. Let me emphasize the S's because my S, 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 my S and 5s look very close. And let's do some algebra, so maybe we get rid of some 5s there. So I get 3S. 15 minus 40 is minus 25. Ooh, that's still 3S, okay? And that should be 180. Let's do some algebra, solve this equation. Add your 25. I get 3S equals, looks like 205. Okay, divide both sides now by 3. Got to do some division. Okay, we get 68.3, and let's just actually go here. Let's use that 68. Let's approximate to the nearest tenths. So my second angle is 68.3. Okay, let's get rid of our long division. Now we have to find the other angles. Now remember, this is in blue. You know, my S here, we'll use blue. S goes here, I get my first angle. S goes here, I get my third angle. So I know for my first angle, it's 68.3 plus 15, and for the third angle is going to be 68.3 minus my 40. 68.3 here. Let's do this. So if I add, get 3, 8, 9, 10, 13, 6, 7, 83.3 for the first, and then if I subtract, $28.3 for the third. Here you go. Interior angles of a triangle. Again. First. Second. Third. First plus second plus third is 180. Now let's see what each is. My first angle here. My first angle is double. That's 2 times the second angle. Second angle is blue. Let's see if we could just write this down now. Let's see how good we've gotten with this. The first is 2 times the second. How's that? Okay. Now we have to look at the third angle. So the third angle, which is T, and again I have my is 40 degrees less than subtraction, less than the what? The second. That's S. So let's see how good we are. We should have third is 40 degrees less than the second. S minus 40. And this above here is 2S. We can write it as 2 times S. So let's plug everything in, and maybe I'll have to emphasize a little color here. First, and then the third goes here. So let's plug this in, see what we get. Okay, 2S plus S plus S. So we get 4S here. Just trying to stay away from those sirens. 4S minus 40 is 180. And now we're going to add 40 to both sides. Okay. We end up with 4S is actually 220. Divide both sides now by 4. Okay, so we need to know what S is. 220 divided by 4, that looks like S will be 55. Yeah. S is 55, so S is in blue. S is 55, plug it in here, plug it in here. Double 55 will be my first angle. So that'll be 110. And then finally the third angle would be minus 40. So the third angle will be 55 minus 40, which is 15. These are the angles. (27) Interior angle. Again, let's label everything. First, second, third. Here's my equation. Because the sum is 180. Now let's go back first. First angle is triple 3 times the second angle. Okay. Now the third here, we'll say third angle that's equal 40 degrees more than, here's a more than phrase, and more than what? Twice, 2 times the second angle again. So let's write everything down if we can. First is triple the second, 3 times s. The next one's going to be, that the third is 40 more than, that's addition, remember, more than's addition, twice the second. This switches, 2s, and this will be a 40. Let's now substitute here. Okay, my first is 3 times the s. Here's the first. Third is 2s plus 40. Here's my third. And don't forget that I leave my s here alone. Here we go. 3s plus an s plus a 2s plus a 40. Better be 180. And let me emphasize my s's in blue, because my s's actually look like 5s. So let's do some algebra. Let's simplify here. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6s plus 40 is 180. Check my 40. And I get 6s being 140 divided by 6. Let's see what we get by doing some division. Okay, we get s to be approximately 23.3 again. Okay, this is doing some division. It happens, and I think it's good to review long division and understand what happens in this case when that 3 repeats forever. And in order to give some angles here, we have to approximate this to the nearest tenths, but we can approximate anywhere we like, really. Anyway, this is to the tenths, so we're reviewing some arithmetic and approximation, which is always good. Now remember, this here is my second angle, so I plug in s here and here to get the first and to get the second. So the first here is going to be 3 times, so my first will be 3 times 23.3. My third will be 2 times 23.3 plus 40. So I have some arithmetic to do. Okay, so let's find out what 3 times 23.3 is. Let's bring out the algorithm here for this. 9, 9, and 6, 69.9. Double this, so t will be double 46.6 plus 40, and then add, and so it looks like t is 86.6 feet. So 69.9 for the first angle, 23.3 for the second, and 86.6 for the third. And that's it. We're done.